So welcome back everybody, you are here with Quickshot and Zotes here, and as you can see we have all 10 players in the game lobby ready to go live for the third and final game, and we're just waiting to see, waiting for that start button to go, and there it is. I will of course show you guys the bracket in just a moment. But Zote, semi-final number 2, we were scheduled to start the grand final half an hour ago. But we've had some really awesome games.
Yeah, some really elongated games, and I think that's where the competitive scene is going to. No one likes to give it up in 20 minutes. Everyone's playing at a very, very high level. So as a result, we end up getting 50-plus minute games.
Yeah, and it's been really, really good. That last particular map, or match rather, part of the reason I really enjoyed watching it and casting it is it's some very, very high level players playing non-traditional champions. You know, seeing Mordekaiser and Rumble and Xin Zhao on the same team and doing so incredibly well together. It was great to watch. So we do see Shen, Irelia, and Mordekaiser has now been banned. And very quick Morgana. And you can't blame Gamehoppers for removing Coutard's mod.
Oh, of course not. And we do see that Aurelia also being focused at El Mopo really was a dominant lane presence in that top lane. And I love how, I'm not sure if this is entirely accurate, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. The American teams tend to have, their particular bans, and they're going to ban those champions no matter what. And they tend not to have quite as many, targeted bans, but we saw in the earlier Fnatic matchup, they're like, okay, well, we just got beat by these 3 champions, we're banning these 3 champions, without respect to the common meta and who's generally considered overpowered. They're like, no, we know they can beat us, they are now being banned. And we see a little bit of that coming down from these teams as well, knowing that Mordekaiser from Coutard is so strong. Let's take that out of the picture right out of the gate. And we don't like you guys having Rumble. We purposely left him up. We are going to go ahead and take Rumble is Gamehoppers.
And Rumble, I love it. Is one of my favorite champions to play. When he was released, I played him so often up in that top lane, and such an aggressive champion, such an effective aggressive champion as well. So it's a lot of fun to cast, a lot of fun to watch. And we're going to see if he's going to be as effective up in that top lane by being played by who is it that's playing in the top lane for
El Mopo is.
It is El Mopo. Yeah, just completely spaced out. But we do see Xin Zhao locked in very, very quickly. So 3 for 3 in this semi-final, and he's been doing very well for both teams. Maybe this time, maybe in the hands of Team MegaShock, it's going to be enough to secure the semi-final victory and earn them a spot in the grand final.
I mean, perhaps they used it last game to great effect. Obviously, he was able to dive in very, very deep, become so tanky, and really just go straight tanky, just build up all those tanky items and dive into the back lines and create enough havoc just through his base damage to cause the enemy team to focus him. So really good job in that showing. We also see Corki coming up. So they're kind of going with what, worked for them last game, picking up that that Corki for Antnext, really great showing, and we might see, oh my goodness, Volibear has been known as a Rumble counter. Imbasheep also plays a lot of Volibear. I would love to see that. I would so very much love to see that. Would just be another stellar showcase of a champion you don't ever get to see in competitive play, but actually showing how he can be effective. And we're seeing a lot of swapping around here from Imbasheep. He's kind of trying to dull my excitement, but I'm still excited. I'm still very excited about the potential of a Volibear pickup. Oh no! Why?
We're waiting to see if it's actually going to happen. That would be awesome. I did have the pleasure of shoutcasting a Volibear singed Alistair roster, which I mentioned yesterday, and that was very, very fun and exciting to watch. And I'm a big fan of Darius, so I'm so happy that has been locked in. Is Darius going to be able to counter the damage, the consistent damage that Rumble is going to have? I mean, they've both got pretty good damage over time. They've both got pretty aggressive play styles, but I haven't seen a Darius Rumble matchup before.
I've seen it a couple times. There's a couple advantages Darius has. Obviously, he can apprehend Rumble. Anytime Rumble really wants to get in Flame Spitter range, Darius can apprehend him and, go toe-to-toe with him. And he has a lot of burst. He has the magic damage coming from Hemorrhage. And then once he gets to level 6, that Noxian Guillotine is great. And what we see in today's meta is so many times you have both of the junglers go into the top lane. So there's a gank and a, simultaneous counter gank going in. And Darius excels so well in those situations. One, he's great at ganking because he can pull the enemy back with Apprehend and can even chase them down and use that after they flash, for instance. But the other thing he has going for him in those 2v2s is, the team knows, okay, well, we're going to focus Rumble, for instance, and instead of going after Lee Sin, we're going to focus Rumble. That means we're going to ignite him, I'm going to do a lot of damage to him, I'm going to have the assisted damage from my jungler, and he so very quickly gets in range to Noxian Guillotine the enemy that, that 2v2 turns into a 1v2 so incredibly fast. I just feel like his skirmishing power in that respect is very, very strong.
So final champion does need to be locked in. It is going to be the AP middle, or at least it should be the AP middle. If Malphite gets locked in, who's going to go where? Malphite versus Anivia and Darius versus Rumble, or vice versa?
I think, Darius will still be the matchup against Rumble. I think that's the, the ideal matchup. And, we might see a swap here from Malphite, but Malphite can be built, purely AP, will have a lot of burst, but, will not be very damaging, throughout the rest of the course of the battle. Now we're seeing Urgot and Malphite, and so it is going to be a Malphite. So we're going to have to, double check all these runes, see exactly what's going on here, see what we can see over the course of time. Mopo has not changed their own runes yet for Rumble, so we do have a moment before everything gets settled out. 42 seconds before the players actually have to lock in all their runes and masteries.
And I love what we are seeing at the moment, a complete shift, different types of compositions, different types of champion groupings, and I really like this combination. The burst that's going to come out from Malphite and from Darius, if they're able to focus somebody down and just remove them from the fight, it's immediately going to be a 5v4 and put things in their favor, and we know just how effective a tanky Xin Zhao can be as well. So 14 seconds on the clock while we're waiting for everybody to get locked in. I would like to just remind everybody that this is, of course, the Fnatic Play Raidcall Cup. This is cup number 3, and as you can see on screen, this is Raidcall. It is a free-to-use voice over P software, replacement for some of the other guys, some of the other programs that are out there. It is super easy to set up and really, really great. If you've been enjoying the cast and enjoying what you've been hearing, myself and Zote have been using it all evening long. So check out the little application, and of course, if you would like to check out the coverage for today's event, fnatic.com/, fnatic.com, and you can find the news there for the whole portal. So go check that one out. What about runes? Anything magic going on Coutard's Malphite?
I actually have not looked at Coutard. I did notice Etnex not running the same GP10, so going to be a little bit more aggressive. Let us check out Coutard together. What do you see?
Ability, power, armor, magic resist, completely standard page. Nothing really out of the ordinary for an AP middle Malphite.
That's a little bit unfortunate. I do see something unusual from Kog'Maw, provided he hasn't changed. I looked in before they were locked in. An extra 10% attack speed, so running attack speed in a number of those reds. So 10% attack, 9.6 physical damage. That's a little bit unusual to see from an AD carry, but certainly, worthwhile on a Kog'Maw who's going to be doing a lot of extra damage with that Bio Arcane Barrage.
And of course, having the complement of having Soraka on board for all of that mana from Infuse, it's going to be able to just keep him, allow him to use those Bioarcane Barrages more often. A lot of people have been asking this over the course of the semi-final. The reason Almopo is wearing Team MegaShock tags is he used to be the top laner for Team MegaShock, but very, very recently, only a couple of days ago, he in fact made the team swap over to Gamehoppers. He wasn't comfortable saying the exact reason, but both teams are fairly comfortable with it. It was a decision he made, and him and Team MegaShock are still buddies and friends. So that is why he has the TMSK tags, and of course it's a fairly new change. And we know that Sheep is the man who took his position up there in the top lane. So yeah, just letting everybody know. How has Darius actually ruined his champion? 10 armor pen, some physical damage, some armor, and some magic resist. And it's so hard to build against that particular champion because Hemorrhage, of course, is all magic damage. All of his normal auto attacks and Decimate is physical, and then his ultimate's true damage. So you can't even avoid that no matter what you do.
Look at Hawkdawn's runes before we take over into the game. Very, very exciting. I'm not going to spoil the surprise.
I've just pulled it up on screen the very second you asked that. 6.8 physical damage, 7% attack speed, and 8.5 magic pen.
Yep. So very, very unusual. Going to try to, last hit better with those auto attacks and perhaps punish Malphite with them as well. We'll see how that turns out. We saw, kind of a similar thing coming down from Froggen where he was lined up, I think we were casted together, where he was lined up against perhaps Xpeke's Kassadin, and he just decided to go all attack damage early on the levels and really harass down with that auto attack.
I wonder how effective it's going to be because it's a very slow moving auto attack. So that small amount of attack speed, is it really going to make life easier for him?
It certainly will make last hitting easier. I don't know if he's going to be able to, force Cowtard out of the lane. We'll see how aggressive he is going to be with those auto attacks. Of course, once you start getting very aggressive, focusing on those auto attacks, focusing on really pushing out the enemy mid, then sometimes you get a visit from Xin Zhao, from the jungler. But, just left to their own devices, I think that will be pretty effective. Certainly more effective than just running armor in those, those seal spots in particular because, he's not going to be getting hit by too many armor-based attacks in that laning phase. Malphite's not going to run up to him too frequently and pop him in the face. He will have to, face off the damage from the minions when he is auto-attack harassing, but that shouldn't be too crazy. So we are into the screen champion select with all the skins, and it looks like Gamehoppers have the early advantage.
Oh, for sure. There's not even a question about that. Shamrock, Malphite, well, he's lucky and he's looking for the pot of gold. It's not going to be enough to defeat the 4 skins of Gamehoppers. The real question, though, is whether or not those skins are going to equate into a victory. Gamehoppers are, of course, on the left-hand side of your screen wearing the blue trunks, and Team MegaShock on the right-hand side of your screen wearing the red trunks. 1-to-1. The winner of this gets to face off against Team Eclipsia, who 2-0'd Fnatic in the semi-finals. So, winning an epic series like this, only to put yourself in a grand final where you have to play potentially 3 more games, it's quite draining.
Yeah, certainly it is draining, and they go against a well-rested team, but, the winner of this will have kind of the momentum on their side. Obviously, picking up the victory from this, but it is all in the hands of the winner. All that prize pool is going to the winner of the grand finals. So coming in second doesn't give you too much except bragging rights. We do see Elmoko hanging out in this brush. Is he going to get caught out though?
We'll see whether or Apprehend is just too slow on the trigger there from Embersheep, unfortunately. That also means that he's going into lane with a level 1 Apprehend as opposed to level 1 Decimate. And it's not necessarily the end of the world, but if Rumble decides to go Flame Spitzer, or in this case Electro Harpoon, it's just going to sort of play into his favor a little bit for that very low level engagement.
Yeah, the lack of Decimate is going to hurt a little bit, but I think Darius will be okay. Of course, we'll have that extra little added advantage of, frightening Rumble through the potential of a gank presence with that extra Apprehend. All of Gamehoppers really frightened that, perhaps the invade was going to continue. It is not, of course. We have the benefit of knowing that. We get to see everything. The teams do not get to see everything, however. So certainly, makes sense that they would be a little bit afraid about that. And we do see, a standard 3 Talon Strike beginning for Xin Zhao.
We'll see how this jungle route is going to play out and just how effective those jungle ganks are going to be in conjunction with, the Malphite once he hits level 6 and has that unstoppable force, and of course Darius once he has the Noxian Guillotine. 1 stack of Hemorrhage, 2 stacks of Hemorrhage, or in this case actually just the 1, sorry. Embersheep opening up that Apprehend. Does it actually deal damage if I look at it? Gains 5% armor penetration and it just snares or leashes people forward, so no actual damage from that ability. But we'll see just how this lane plays out. I'm a fan of Darius, but I don't actually own him just yet. I do need to get some more IP.
Yes, it is hard to keep up. A lot of champions are coming out over the course of time. In middle, a Seismic Shard really chunked down Anivia, but, you know, Malphite doesn't really have the mana to just continue spamming them out, so I'm very intrigued to seeing how this lane is going to go. Anivia throwing out those audio attacks, but mainly they're just running against the shield of Malphite. Of course, he has that passive that grants him, you know, 10% of his life as an extra shield, and it recharges every 8 or so seconds as well. So you have to keep a very consistent harassment on him if you want it to go through that shield.
Take a look at this bottom lane. Broto has snuck up. He has the double buffs active, and they're trying to bait out a Dazzle Shatter stun from Taric. He has a second level, but hasn't actually put a point into either Shatter or Dazzle just yet. As I'm saying that, though, he does in fact act it up. Now we see up in this top lane, Goat is going to move forward. He pretty much just reveals himself and then runs away. Goes, "What's up, Brute? I see you here." And then moves back into the lane. The burst from Malphite, I don't think he's going to have enough to pick up a kill on an Anivia because of Rebirth, of course.
Right, and that's an issue, especially when we see his mana troubles already. Oh, top lane, there is a 3-talent strike, land on El Mofo.
It's going to be followed up with Apprehend. Ignite goes down, and now the hemorrhage is ticking down to 40 hit points, down to 20. First blood, in fact, gets picked up by Xin Zhao before Rumble picks up the kill onto Xin in reply. The tower is too strong at that low level. Luckily, the buffs were not donated, because that would have made life very, very difficult for Imbersheep. But first blood to Xin Zhao, that's going to give him that little gold advantage, and we see the long sword and the cloth armor being picked up.
Yes, that was a really good play. I was, you know, momentarily really frightened for Goats, for essentially, you know, all of his team, for Team MegaShock, thinking, oh man, they are going to just get a kill for Rumble, you know, double buffs on Rumble as well. But he does jump back in there with that audacious charge and able to pick up that first blood. Really, really good showing.
In the middle lane now, Goats is trying to poke some pressure onto Anivia, but no buffs, no slow on board. He would be relying on that 3-talent strike to really have any form of CC, and until Malphite really hits level 6, he's not going to have the burst damage to really be able to chunk down Hawkdon. How hard is his Seismic Shard hitting for? 182 damage every 7 seconds at the moment, but it's a very, very high mana cost, which he just simply cannot afford. I wonder if we'll see a Chalice of Harmony and potentially a Athene's Unholy Grail on that champion.
Yeah, that could be very interesting. It certainly would work for him. He does need that mana regeneration. Could also just go the standard Doran's Rings route. I expect we'll see a pretty early Abyssal Scepter from him. I think he'll still have to build a little bit tanky because, of course, he's to do most of his damage. Whoops. Imbersheep is caught out a little bit.
He's in a little bit of trouble. A very, very nice safeguard to that ward. Now Imbersheep is going to be taking all of that damage from the extra harpoon, as well as the flame splitter is actually going to go down to one more auto attack from Lee Sin. He's going to follow that up with a resonating strike into a couple more auto attacks. Double kill for Lee Sin right now, and it's a snowbally champion that you really don't want to be feeding gold to. 3-1 up for Gamehoppers after that quick double kill for the Ninja.
Yeah, only 500 gold at this point in time, though, so the farm is going well somewhere else. Bottom lane very even, 35-39. Mid lane also very even, so I think, you know, it's just a function of that top lane. That's very even too. I'm very confused as to why those 2 kills only equate to 700 gold, and I guess it does make a little bit of sense. They did get the first blood coming off from Team MegaShock, but besides that, I would expect there to be a little bit of a larger gap in the overall gold.
Imbersheep just missing that Apprehend onto Albuquerque. He's very close to getting that Noxian Guillotine. And look at the Flame Splitter damage. It's just poking Imbersheep down, poking him down. We do see a ping going down into Broto. Triple 3-talent strike as well as that audacious charge is there. Flash, unstoppable force, ignite, ground slam. One more auto attack with those brutal strikes actives means that Coutard pulls one back. Unfortunately, no buffs means he doesn't manage to get anything from anything extra out of the trade. But 3-2 in terms of kills. Coutard does juke just past the Flash Frost. 0 mana left. There's no flash available. Ignite actually goes down from Hawkdon. So Hawkdon playing very, very aggressive. Ultimate plus the Frostbite may be enough, but unfortunately isn't going to be in range to activate that and just get that extra burst damage down.
Yeah, so a lot of aggression early on, 5 kills, only 7 minutes in, so good showing from each of the teams. They're obviously taking it very seriously, and they want to pick up this win here. We just see a little aggression down bottom. I like Soraka, being very manly, running up to Tarek and be like, oh, you're silenced, you can't stun me back, and then just running straight away as well. So really good showing so far. Flume is just using all those infuses to just go to town on Corki.
And I love that playstyle. I've seen a lot of Sorakas playing quite aggressively with that infuse a couple of bananas, infuse a couple of bananas. But look in this top lane. Ignite is available for Almupo. About 40 seconds to go and he's going to have that equalizer up. Sheep is just not going to be able to trade effectively. He's got no sustain just yet outside of that health regen from Philosopher's Stone. But I don't think it's enough. And Rumble has enough burst to pick up kills if he goes low.
It's very surprised actually for Sheep not to take that little battle there, because he had a lot of stacks of hemorrhage on Rumble. I think he had 5 up on him, had that ignite ready, had Noxian Guillotine. I thought he could come ahead in that fight, but he's probably decided to be safer for it, and probably not a bad idea. He's going to head back to base and does pick up that Heart of Gold. So he is taking down those GP10s, and they're actually running a, essentially a GP10 strategy coming down from Team MegaShock, and I like it. I like when the entire team decides to go, a similar route, and I would expect for Xin Zhao to pick up a couple as well. The only issue is, you're running a GP10 strategy against a Kog'Maw. That would be my only concern at this point in time. Kog'Maw, of course, going to scale incredibly well into late game, but Darius 2 GP10s, Malphite 2 GP10s, and Xin Zhao likely will be working towards the GP10s as well.
KG's lucky pick and that Philosopher's Stone. So how does he actually scale at the moment? Kautzard 4 points into his Seismic Shard. So 250 damage every 6 seconds. It's not too bad. Of course, the movement speed is going to help him out to dodge those flash frosts and get him a little bit into safety if he's taking too much DPS. 54 CS to the 70 of Anivia. The fact that she's got the longer range and the slightly stronger wave pushing power. We've seen Malphite on his tower for the better part of the last 5 or so minutes. How do you think that GP10 Malphite will scale in comparison to the Chalice Army tier of Goddess Anivia? Oh, look at that equalizer into Ignite. Sheep is going to go down with the Flame Spitter. Assist actually comes from both Lee Sin and from Soraka, as I believe the Wish was used. Now we see a real pressure kill on the bottom lane, compliments of Goats pushing down there. But Etnik's getting away by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, well, yeah, Etnik's escaping very, very narrowly. Morales actually had, a good amount of life at the end of that, but of course, did have a Xin Zhao bearing down on him. And Xin Zhao actually went back to base with enough gold to purchase a Wriggle's Lantern, but instead decides to go for that Philo Stone. So an early Philo Stone, of course, with all those GP10s. Malphite will scale very well, but, for him to do a lot of burst AP damage, he's going to have to, get into battle. He's going to have to Unstoppable Force rush on in there, and that's, very dangerous thing for him, if he doesn't build, a lot of defensive items as well, which, as the only AP champion on the team, and there being very little, ancillary magic damage coming down. Obviously, Radiance and Shatter and the Missile Barrage and Phosphor Bomb for Corki will be doing magic damage, but they just don't have that burst unless Malphite goes very, very heavy AP. So I am a little bit concerned for their strategy, especially, they're planning this really late game strategy going against a Kog'Maw. I don't know how that's going to benefit them later on.
Take a look at the damage that Kautzard is taking in this middle lane. He's just eating a couple of those frostbites and just being chunked down, chunked down, chunked down. Of course, if Malphite opts to go for the likes of an Abyssal Scepter and an Athene's Unholy Grail, sort of the slightly more standard ability power magic resist type items, it's going to help him out against, Rumble, against Anivia, and of course the magic damage that Kog'Maw puts out, but it doesn't really scale up in this top lane. The Crescent Sweep goes out, Almupo is going to get knocked up, compliments of the triple sword, Noxian Guillotine goes down, it wasn't actually enough to pick up the kill, and the Sonic Wave gets picked up by a creep, so Broto is unfortunate to not get the Resonating Strike execution damage, because it was a CS that chunked that Sonic Wave down. But, not having the armor means that Malphite's auto attack damage isn't going to scale necessarily as effectively. It means his ground slam isn't going to hit quite as hard. It's not an optimal build for that champion. Unstoppable Force goes out and it completely misses, in fact. Ignite is down plus one more long range auto attack. It is not going to be enough. Down to 7 hit points.
13. Oh, was it 7? I saw him right after regen. Wow.
So low, but a whiff on that ultimate, and somehow the Philosopher's Stone HP is going to be able to keep him alive. So lucky from Kautar's Malphite.
Very lucky, and they're sitting at 4 for 4, almost dead even in gold. It was actually 100 gold in favor of, Team MegaShock. And if you're running this GP10 strategy and staying, even early on, that is what you want. We do see, looks like Darius will get away just fine. Looked like he could have been in trouble. This top tower is going to go down for Darius, though, in just a moment.
Yeah, 13-minute tower down. Elmupo opting not to place that last auto attack on it. Going to leave it for the creeps to pick up instead. In terms of CS, 68 to the 63 of Darius. Even though there's been a lot of pressure on that top lane, he is farming relatively well. Middle lane 102 to 82, and bottom lane 109 to 96. So, a little bit in favor of the Gamehoppers right now, at least in terms of the CS.
Yeah, oh, and top lane, ooh, going to go down once again is Darius. So that Rumble is so strong. I thought Darius was a pretty good counter pick, but got a little bit of aggression early, and that is all, Elmupo needed to have the advantage there.
Yeah, I've just rewinded. Man. I just rewinded to watch the kill, so let me put myself on fast forward and directed camera just to see what happens. Kautar is now joined up in the top. Seismic Shard goes down. He's trying to get himself in place. Ground Slam goes out. Brutal Strikes, he's up. But does Malphite have the Unstoppable Force? It will be up in 3 seconds time. 2 seconds, 1. He might go jump back in. In fact, Broto has now joined the party, so it may need to be an Unstoppable to try and get to safety. He's not even going to be able to get that off. And let me fast forward. I'm 10 seconds behind live.
Yeah, that was a really unfortunate for Team MegaShock and really great showing. Man, that Rumble is so incredibly strong. Rumbles always tend to be strong, but I like his early pickup there. And now it is a 2v1 against Goats as well.
Goats is going to get flash frosted. Somehow managed to get the flash away to safety. That was immense. Apprehend pulls Hawked on backwards. Embersheep is trying to get himself in a position where the Noxian Guillotine may actually be used to pick up a kill, but he eats a flash frost to the face. And wow, Goats with a huge flash over that wall to double golems. A little bit of lifesteal there managed to keep him up, or the life regen from Philosopher's Stone managed to keep him alive. And a bit unfortunate actually, because Hawked had ignites.
Very close. Yeah. Oh, well actually, no, I don't see Ignite on him. I see it ticking down very slowly. It looks like it's almost up. So, perhaps that might be a bug due to replays. I always get those kind of like suspicious bugs there. We do see, kills picked up, but a Dragon going to Team MegaShock, and now only a 600 gold lead for Gamehoppers as of this moment. Kautar, poking his head in there, and then he decides, no, I'm just going to go ahead and back out. Has actually picked up a Doran's Ring, so instead of going, a Heart of Gold, for instance, he might not have had enough money for that, but decides to go Doran's Ring, give him a little extra life, give him that mana regen, which will be great for him as well, and perhaps allow for better trades against this Anivia, who's been doing a lot of work in that middle lane.
Unstoppable Force, Ground Slam, Apprehend. Hawked gets egged underneath the tower. He's also pulled the tower aggro. Now the tower's turned over to Rumble, so Hawked will be the first one to fall. Compliments of that Hemorrhage tick, but the Flame Spitter plus Ignite will actually pick up a kill onto Malphite. Elmupo down to 30 points of health. 30 points of health. He manages to get away. This is a super low hit point game. Everybody manages to get away with less than 30 HP today, it seems.
Right, and Embersheep using that Noxian Guillotine really early on. It makes me wonder, I'm not sure how much experience he has with Darius. Certainly a professional player, I'm sure he play him at very high levels, but did use that Noxian Guillotine very early. Now Ednix forced to burn a flash down bottom and will likely go down anyway. Oh, the last second imbue saves him. Oh my goodness, Broto being robbed of a kill there. I was pretty sure that Dragon's Rage would have been enough to take him down. Not this time.
Potentially. I looked at his hit points just after the kick. 160 on the board. And imbue adds about 100, so Corki may have potentially been able to get away with about 30 or 40 hit points. Take a look at this. Another tower goes down. The Void Ooze lands onto Nima, and he does get silence from Infused and eats a banana for his troubles. But they're going to trade a bottom tower for a middle tower, or they were going to trade a bottom tower for a middle, if there were creeps there.
Yes, no creeps unfortunately, and then Hawked On and El Mopo show up and scare everyone else away. So really good showing. Kog'Maw down bottom, 148 CS to the 119 of Corki. That's, not something we've been paying a lot of attention to over the course of this game because there's been aggression everywhere else. But that is a sizable lead for Kog'Maw, and he, both of those bottom lanes not picking up a lot of kills, but doing a very, very good job in farming is that Kog'Maw. He's going to be a really late game force. And so once again, it comes down to, double GP10s on, 4 of the 5 members from Team MegaShock, but they're going to be going against a Kog'Maw. That's just very troubling. I mean, they want to go late game, but they actually don't want to go late game. How is it going to turn out? Time will tell, time will tell. So far, looking pretty good for Gamehoppers.
And of course, Kog'Maw, look at the interesting build. We've just mentioned the gold and how the bottom lane's been going, but BF Sword and Zeal completed first. We opted to go for Zeal, and it's not uncommon to see Kog'Maw going Phantom Dancer and then a BF Sword item, but Zeal, then BF Sword, now Berserker's Greaves. I'm not 100% sure on the thinking if he's maybe doing better than anticipated, so opting to go for the BF Sword earlier as opposed to finishing the Phantom Dancer, because it's the same amount of gold.
I mean, yeah, certainly a little bit of an unusual choice there, but the other thing to keep in mind is Kog'Maw does have an extra 10% attack speed in runes that normally Kog'Maws will not run with, so perhaps he felt like he should go with the damage first.
So I did just notice Broto has been sporting the Oracle's Elixir, as has Goats. So 2 Oracles on both of the junglers, and both junglers tend to get very aggressive. Are we going to see an engagement here? Living Artillery, Crystallized Wall. We see the Safeguard going onto one of the champions. Follows up with a great Resonating Strike. There goes a very nice Unstoppable Force, or actually only managed to catch Hawked On. Hawked On puts himself very, very aggressively forward. He's going to be the first one to fall. Now Lee Sin trying to pick up some kills on this way out. Somehow, Team MegaShock have made it out of there, not only gaining a kill, but not a single one of their members goes down. Taric is low, Goats is low, Sheep is low, and Kaltard is very low as well. Corki, he managed to get away with about half life, but it may cost him an interior turret here.
Yeah, so that's not a trade you necessarily want. 1 death for an interior turret, but it reminds me of last game where we kept on seeing all these fights where no one would die, or only one person would die, or only one person per side would die. So very, very close fight. I really think, obviously, Team MegaShock, rather Gamehoppers, my mistake, I was looking at El Mopo. Gamehoppers did come out ahead in the sense that they were all a lot more healthy at the end of the fight, but they were the only ones to lose a member as well. Some very, very interesting trades there, and now we're seeing a clearing of this Baron pit. Of course, they have Kog'Maw, so at any point that they want to do Baron, they have, a pretty significant advantage. Kog'Maw is going to be able to take it down quicker than his counterpart Corki is. We did see Corki head bottom, giving up that middle turret, but allowing him to pick up a little bit of farm and catch up to Kog'Maw. So he was, down significantly. Now he's only down 11 CS.
Nimad is eating a Living Artillery to the face, almost gets caught by that Electro Harpoon. I'm just having a look at the gold as you mentioned the CS, and I'm wondering how the numbers are turning out. 156 CS for Nivea, I believe 2 dragons and 4 towers. But Malphite with those GP10s and 2 kills and an assist. 6,000 gold, they're bang on even as far as champion versus champion goes. Neither of them have necessarily prioritized ability power right now. So, the mana regen and the total mana for Anivia, she's up to 1,900 and currently at 102 mana per 5 seconds at max. So that's only going to get higher as her mana pool drops, compliments of that Chalice of Harmony.
Yeah, that is a lot of mana regen. Really, great to see that on the one hand. Interesting to see it on the other hand. Now we're seeing, the Baron dance. So certainly, we're at a point where Gamehoppers feel like they might have a little bit of an advantage here. They have the advantage for taking that Baron. I think if they can get a fight off the turret, they would really like that. But maybe they're not as far ahead as they think. I mean, if I was, looking at, as a middle lane player, and I'm like, I am 40 CS ahead of my opponent, they might have 2 GP10s, they might have 2 kills, but I still feel like I'm up on them. But, in reality, Malphite had a little bit of that gold lead. It looks like they are going to move down bottom and pick up this blue buff, so I like that pickup. Hawked On going to donate it. Well, actually, it looked like at the very end there was a, kind of an argument as to who was going to take it, but Kog'Maw did end up with the extra blue buff.
Well, middle tower is going to go down very shortly. Equalizer comes out from Rumble. It will focus the tower down. Now Jin Xiao's jumped onto the middle of the fight. Crescent Sweep goes out. He's going to be the first one to fall. They have picked up in the background Rumble, though. The Unstoppable Force only manages to catch Cogmore, so I'm not certain that was the best of ideas, but a great slam dunk from Imbersheep means he gets his cooldown committed. A second slam dunk means he manages to pick up a double kill. There's going to be eaten from the Akithian Surprise, and potentially a triple kill, or in fact, the third guillotine only managed to deal damage. So Jin Xiao goes down. He loses his Oracle's Elixir, but 1 for 4 and a tower. Maybe Dragon and a second tower. That's more than a fair trade. 2 towers is going to replace that Oracle's, and as I thought, an Abyssal Scepter has been picked up by Malphite. So opting to go for that additional ability power, additional magic resist, and obviously the magic resist debuff is going to be very, very useful as well.
Yeah, so I mean, that ultimate on Kog'Maw was really effective in the end because it allowed Darius to start that chain of Noxian guillotines. Actually, I think that was the second person he used it on, but really, really great showing. I did not think that fight was going to go well. It started out and Goats got erased from the fight. You know, he dove in on Anivia, used his Crescent Slash, but then Kog'Maw was still able to burst him down despite the extra armor and magic resistance he got from using his ultimate. So I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not going to be good. But, you know, since Kog'Maw was focusing on Xin Zhao, everyone else got kind of free reign in the background there. The ultimate eventually did come down on top of Kog'Maw, and he was able to be taken down in pretty short order, and that's the, you know, advantage especially that Darius gives you in those team fights. If you get, you know, one person down, you can suddenly start rolling, and now he's suddenly a lot tankier, a lot more damaging, picking up that Maw and the Giant's Belt, but at the same time, looks like Baron is being gone after. They did see Malphite was towards the bottom, so they might want to, force a fight here. They're actually going to have to back out simply because Broto took quite a bit of damage from that Baron, so they didn't want to be engaged on once Malphite caught up to the battle. Certainly a good idea to back on out. And we do see, it looks like Kog'Maw's going to eventually finish up that Phantom Dancer. Does finish it up right as I'm speaking, so getting that BF sword pretty early on, but then rushing the Phantom Dancer as is more usual, like you mentioned earlier, quick shot.
Yeah, it is what you tend to see on Cogmaw's. He doesn't really have anybody else on his team that has a steroid that they can provide to him, but he's going to be able to deal a huge amount of damage with that Bio Arcane. What on earth is squeaking like that?
Oh, that was my apologies. That was me moving my chair back. I will stop it immediately.
It sounded like you were murdering a chicken. You need to apply some oil to that. While we're waiting for this, hang on, let's take a look at this next engagement really, really quickly. Equalizer is available. Electro Harpoon goes down. Second Electro Harpoon lands onto Malphite. Just gonna see which team feels like they have the right position. I don't like the split from Gamehoppers right now. Apprehend did not land, unfortunately. Let's just carry on waiting to see how this one happens. Nothing too special at the moment.
Yeah, a really interesting, split there, and really it was a factor of, Gamehoppers is like, okay, come fight us in this jungle so we can get a really good equalize, and Team MegaShock didn't take the bait.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Gamehoppers right now, they're playing this thing, and I don't really like their positioning. They're a little bit grouped up, which is obviously to avoid the good equalizer. Now they find out there goes Unstoppable Force, followed immediately by Crescent. Anivia gets melted before she can do absolutely anything. In the background, Lee Sin is diving onto Corki, so he's going to go down. One slam dunk comes out from Darius. He's going to carry on chasing down onto Cogmore. This is the next target. This has been a 2 for 2 thus far. Are we going to see another slam dunk? Not even enough time to actually get that one off, and now we're going to see Darius pushing down in front. So 3 for 2 exchange. Xin Zhao and Corki in exchange for Cogmore, Anivia, and Rumble definitely came out ahead for Team MegaShock. In terms of gold, they're extending it to 4,000. The Apprehend actually leashing the Golem buff all the way through in the back line. Cogmore was just not able to do anything that fight because Lee Sin did such a good job at zoning him and picking up that kill.
Yeah, I mean, Cogmore wasn't able to do anything. Really, Corki didn't offer too much to the fight either. I mean, it was really just a battle of all those bruisers in the end, and I'm intrigued as to seeing, what the next pickup. It is a Deathfire Grasp coming down from Malphite, so, using that bonus from the KG's lucky pick. I always say Kage's lucky pick, but I get flamed a little bit for that. I know there's kind of a lot of different ways to say it. I think KG's is the most appropriate way. Is that how you pronounce it in Tenacious D? I'm unfortunately not a huge Jack Black fan. I do like him, but not well versed in his earlier works, I suppose.
I'm of the opinion a name is a name. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. As long as you understand what we're trying to say, that's what's important. I noticed a little bit earlier, there was a lot of angry people based on the way I say Xin Zhao, Xin Zhao, however you want to say it. You know who I'm talking about. It's a name, people. You know, and I understand if a player gets very angry because their nickname is a bit strange, and I'll gladly change that, but for champions, you know, regional dialects, it's entirely up to each person, in my opinion.
So Team MegaShock.
I was just going to say, Malphite with the Deathfire Grasp. So going for the burst.
Yep, absolutely going for the burst, and really that's what they need from the AP carry. They just need that initial burst to get people in range of the Noxian Guillotine, and hope Darius kind of cleans up the rest of the pack. Xin Zhao have been doing a great job at initiating these fights with those flash Audacious Charge into Crescent Slash, and followed immediately up by Unstoppable Force. They've been spot on so far from Cowtard, but if Cowtard misses an Unstoppable Force, that is a large chunk of his damage that's right out the window.
So yet another one of these engagements, so this is a very, very quick potential team fight. Equalizer has come out from Almupo. Now we're going to follow Darius as he's diving forward. In actual fact, Darius has now come all the way back into the top of the lane. He's going to pick up Slam Dunk #1, Noxian Guillotine. In the background, Tariq is somehow alive. We did hear a bit of a wish, followed up now by the Noxian Guillotine, picking up his double kill. We're going to stick with Ember Sheep, maybe seeing a triple. He's going to carry on landing those auto attacks. Hemorrhage is ticking away. Decimate, not enough time to get off the third Guillotine this time around. Apprehend is going to pull Hawkdon forward. Hawkdon is going to get egged though, so Impership is going to need to burst through this egg before he can land any more guillotines. Guillotine #3 will pick up the kill. Finally, now we're going to see a 4-man guillotine, double gills. Embersheep scoring himself, I believe it's 8 points if it's 2 points for a dunk unless I'm mistaken. And really nicely done. 3 for 5 exchange. Do you think they can take a tower with just Darius and Tariq?
I think they could. They have to be a little bit careful. Lee Sin is up, and if they don't get back soon, they're going to put themselves in danger of being counter Baron, because that was a pretty extended fight. And I think the only kill Sheep actually missed there was Kog'Maw, who he definitely could have guillotined a little bit earlier and secured that kill. So we almost saw even a more epic play, but things going pretty well for Team MegaShock. And I mean, that seems to be their strategy. Just make sure Darius is still alive at the end of these fights so he can just clean up house.
And the question then now, the guillotine, I think the thinking from Embersheep may have been worried about the exhaust, because he was exhausted as he was chasing Kog'Maw. So will true damage get reduced if you're exhausted?
No, generally it will not. So certainly could have, sent that out there and, gone to town on him. I mean, Kog'Maw was incredibly low. Obviously, ended up just being auto-attacked down by the combination of Darius and Corki. But the one concern is, I mean, Darius will run out of mana if he has to Noxian Guillotine everyone on the enemy team. It costs 100. He only has a 800 pool, so that's potentially 500 mana going out right there without considering Decimate, Crippling Strike, Apprehend, so on and so forth. So maybe it was just a factor of him being like, oh, I have to save a little bit of mana if I'm going to pick up these next 2 kills, which of course he intended on doing.
And it's interesting when you consider he went 1-3-1 in the lane phase, or 1-2-1 in the lane phase, and is now 9-3-6. Once we've hit this team fight stage, Team MegaShock have just been spot on with their engagements, have been spot on with their team play and their coordination, and they've been feeding the kills to the right person, or rather the positioning and the disruption that's offered from that Unstoppable Force and that Crescent Sweep has been enough to force Kog'Maw out of 2 out of the last 3 fights. Are we going to see an engagement? I was worried about the Apprehend. In actual fact, Equalizer comes out.
I was thinking that would come down too.
Yeah, Equalizer goes out just to disrupt them. There comes the apprehend. Now Amupo's the first one that's in trouble. Audacious Charge goes out in the background. Broto has used a Dragon's Rage kick. Unstoppable Force goes out. The first one to fall is actually Corki. This fight is going very well for Gamehoppers if they can keep this up. Second slam back of the fight, so that's a double kill for Embersheep. Third kill of the fight. Embersheep picks up a triple. Compliments of those Noxian Guillotines. And the Achithian Surprise is going to pick up a double kill with the Explosive. In actual fact, that's going to end up being the triple kill. So that fight went well for Gamehoppers after having Broto jump in the middle of everybody and Dragon's Rage kick absolutely everybody, knocking them all up in the air. But Kog'Maw, with some good positioning and good placement, ends up dealing a lot of damage and cleaning up with his passive.
Yes, cleaning up, and I believe he picked up the, extra gold, bonus gold from that last and final kill on Darius. And Darius, of course, had been running up a spree, so a lot of extra gold on Kog'Maw, able to pick up an Infinity Edge. It looks like he's going to, picks up a Chainmail Vest and will likely go into a Guardian Angel, and the Inhibitor, her turret, is taken down. So, the last couple of fights have been going Team MegaShock's way. One fight goes the other way, and now suddenly Gamehoppers have made a lot more progress, all the way down to the Inhibitor.
And the problem there ended up being the fact that Kog'Maw was given enough time to deal damage. He wasn't jumped on immediately, he wasn't blown up at the very, very start of the fight, and it just allowed him to sit in the river. We did see Malphite using that Unstoppable Force to try get to him and try get him in the grass, but unfortunately it was just, a second or 2 seconds too late. He was able to get off 3 or 4 or 5 auto attacks in conjunction with the damage from Anivia and the damage from that Dragon's Rage kick. It was enough to actually put the fight in their favor. Even though they won that last team fight, though, they're still 5,000 gold behind.
Yep, and still 4 kills behind, but I mean, all the money is being, amassed on top of Darius. Is that a good thing? Sometimes it can be a good thing, sometimes it's not such a good thing. He has built up that random zone, and that should certainly help Maul Malmortius, Frozen Mallet, so he has so many tools to stick people to him, but he could still potentially be burst down. He doesn't have a, ton of magic resistance, can get taken down pretty low by an Anivia combination. What really made that last fight, though, was a beautiful Dragon's Range from Lee Sin. And a lot of the time people argue, Lee Sin falls off late game, but when you can land a Dragon's Rage that actually knocks up a couple of people, well, suddenly he has, done everything you want to as a bruiser and more.
And on the topic of Lee Sin, he's also been able to jump onto Corki and just completely stick to him and delete him from the fight every single time.
Woo.
Oh, we do see an Unstoppable Force going down. Noxian Guillotine goes out, but it doesn't manage to pick up the kill, so that means the cooldown is now not available. Another great Dragon's Rage followed up with a Resonating Strike. Embersheep is forced to flash over the wall and get out of the fight. We have those fireworks of Kog'Maw digging away. That's a double kill for him. He's going to carry on chasing. Red buff is available, and the Void Ooze is going to land onto Cowtard. Unfortunately, is not going to be in range of that Sonic Wave, so Lee Sin's not going to be able to close him off, but a very, very nice Crystallized Wall holds him in place, and this is going to open up the Baron Nashor buff for Gamehoppers, and all of a sudden, a game that was looking like it was swinging out of their control has now swung back in their favor.
Whew. Yeah, it really did not look good, and then they also had the catch coming down. Oh my goodness.
Do you see the engagement coming up? The Apprehend pulls him forward. Hawkdawn is nothing. Failed flash from Mr. Rolls. He's not able to get over there. Baron buff is bashing away on them. Embersheep is trying to put as much damage down as he can, but the Flash Frost damage is going to be enough to pick up that kill. All the while, Kog'Maw is able to pick up that Baron Nashor buff. Flash Frost is going to stun up Nemad. Crystallized Wall from Hawkdawn. He's not 100% convinced about this one. Living on Slew is going to get vision, so if Hawkdawn can get in range, it's not even going to be required. 1 or 2 more hits from Mr. Rolls, and this is exactly what you were talking about, and this is exactly what you were afraid of. The longer the game goes, the more damage Kog'Maw is going to deal, and you simply cannot give Kog'Maw time.
Yes, and that's exactly what they did. Gave Kog'Maw time. He has enough gold to go back and pick up a Guardian Angel. We'll also probably be able to pick a pickaxe up as well if he wants to go through that last Whisper route. Great thing about Kog'Maw is he can potentially go for another Phantom Dancer if he doesn't feel like there's a ton of armor on the other side. And really, he can still focus down on a lot of people without a lot of armor. Corki, Malphite in particular is very, very squishy, and he's forced to engage on top of Kog'Maw. So what are we going to see from Kog'Maw? He has, he only has 600 gold left. I thought he had a little bit more. We actually might see him, did he double pot up? Nope, no potions, just had a little bit less gold than I originally thought he might have after purchasing that Guardian Angel.
Now we're going to see this little siege down on this inhibitor. It's is available and a lot of abilities are all here for use. No Ignite on Darius this time round though. Now we're going to wait for this engage. Who's going to make the first move? Unstoppable Force knocks up 4 members. The Crescent Sweepers are going to knock everybody back. Tariq picks up the first kill grid onto Olivia. In the background, Lisa manages to take out Malphite, and Cogmo has removed Corky from the fight. Double kill, triple kill. That's going to be almost a quadra, as it's a triple for Cogmo and I believe a double for Lee Sin, which is the case. Inhibitors down with that much time and this many creeps up. That should be the GG. Gamehoppers pulling it back after what we thought was a GG with Darius and all of those knocks and guillotines.
Yeah, really great show. And that last fight, Kogma's positioning was a little bit suspect. It was really interesting in the sense that he was the furthest one towards the base of Team MegaShock. He's the one that was the furthest one towards the enemy side, and yet he wasn't being focused whatsoever. Was able to just continue attacking, you know, free from harassment. You know, they took out Anivia very fast, but then I don't know who exactly they turned their focus to, but it certainly wasn't Kogma, and that is a terrible idea to allow him to sit in the background, allow him to pick up those triple kills unharassed.
So that does mean that the Gamehoppers are going to be advancing through to the grand final. They will be taking on Eclipsia in just a few minutes time. As this is of course the grand final, guys, we do need to have a very short break. So I'm going to be throwing up an advert break, put some music on in the background. We're going to get the game lobby up and created. Eclipsia versus Gamehoppers, best of 3. The winner walks home with $1,000, and myself and Zote will be bringing you all of the action, so don't go anywhere.